Another language in just 3 weeks.
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿Cómo te llamas?
When you learn a language, you want to actually use it. Babbel is designed with that goal in mind.
In just 3 weeks, we're starting to have conversations in Spanish. Gracias, Babbel.
Babbel, language for life. Now try Babbel for free at babbel.com. That's BABBEL.com.
The kitchen is the heart of any home. It's where the family gathers. It's where kids discover old recipes and make them their own. Just starting out or just now getting started on the dream kitchen you've always wanted?
I'm Chris Haygood, and from all of us here at Bob Wallace Appliance to the home builders and the homeowners of the Huntsville area, a heartfelt thank you for buying local. We're in Huntsville, Florence, and Coleman, and online at bobwallaceappliance.com.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
This will turn journalism on its ear.
Watch our stream on WZZN TV on Twitch and YouTube.
But you are the greatest hero in American history.
We are 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Welcome, Army sports fans, from sea to shining sea. This is Bill Crawdad Crawford coming to you from the palatial confines of WZZN 97.7. Joined tonight by co-host Tom, Colonel Tom Economy, and producer extraordinaire and star of the station, Steve Moulton. We're all in here a little bit late tonight because the station had to sandwich us in after the Braves, and before the Dodgers, and we had to watch the Braves in excruciating pain as they got destroyed tonight as we were waiting to come on the air. So hopefully next game will be a little bit better than that. But the Braves did not fare so well, and guess what? Last week, neither did the Black Knights of Army, Tom.
Yeah, this game is just a game that keeps giving. So besides being at the game where it rained from about 10 o'clock in the morning till about 10 o'clock at night, constant, it was absolutely miserable, sitting through that, losing the game, then having to come here and wait for the Braves to get their butts kicked, and as we're doing that, they start karaoke. Oh my God, it was terrible.
Yeah, this is going to be a good chapter in the Crawdad's Countdown to Kickoff book.
Yeah,
but,
this is like, I hope this BC game just goes away.
Well, it didn't go away, and speaking of going away, before my mind goes away and I forget about this, our great sponsor, Nick's Ristorante, is offering a $50 gift certificate, and all you have to do is call in at 256-576-4977 and give your name to Steve Moulton. He'll write it down, and then you can claim your gift certificate at Nick's. By the way, they are starting to accept prizes for their soldiers boxes that they send over the holidays. You make a donation, they'll give you a 25% gift certificate. But on to the let's eviscerate the Boston College game. I wasn't there like you. First of all, were you undercover, or did you have to sit outside?
We were under the overhang, and I'm not a material science guy, but I don't understand how you can have a solid concrete overhang with the rain still coming in through the concrete. But yeah, we were under there, so it wasn't quite as bad, but it rained the entire game hard.
Well, if you happen to watch that game, by the way, we lost 27-24. Boston College scored in the last 25 seconds of the game to salt it away. But that's a game, I've said this before to quote, it was the best of times, it was the worst of times, it was the best of halves, it was the worst of halves. We haven't put together two solid halves of football in a game this year, except against Delaware State, and we certainly didn't do it in this game.
No, the first half was. I think we had our first down about 4 minutes into the second quarter. I mean, we didn't. I think we had about 20 yards offense in the first quarter. we just looked inept. It was just absolutely terrible. And BC moved the ball. Our defense was not much better. So it was the first half was absolutely terrible Army football.
Well, and you can say that the weather was bad and it hurt everybody, but it hurts both teams equally. And you can't blame that on the weather at all. I don't know, Tom. I was just so disappointed. It seems like when our new offense is working, it works just fine. But I don't know. Johnny Brooks said in his blog, he said he thought that perhaps the Army team thought their bye week extended through the first half.
Yeah. Well, I will say, when you go back and you look at the maturing of the Army team, I mean, it takes a while for Army to play well. We have to play perfectly. We can't have, and you can't put the ball on the ground. You can't have any penalties. You can't have any mental mistakes, and I think that takes some time. The new offense takes some bandwidth from our attention, and we just keep making silly mistakes, and we made a lot of them.
I would have to agree with that statement, but there were some good things that happened in that game. One of the good things I will cite, we can do.
Oh my God! Yeah.
We can do the good, the bad, and the ugly. A little bit better sound effect than
the
last time we tried it.
That's because Cripey's not here. Yeah.
I thought Bryson Daly played pretty well. He had 10 of 13 passing. He had 99 yards of rushing. He did have one little mistake that we wish he could have back. But how do you think he played?
No, I thought he was good. I thought he threw the ball well. We should have had a touchdown. The tight end dropped it, but it was kind of at an awkward angle, kind of behind the tight end. Had he put the ball out in front of the tight end, it was an easy touchdown. But overall, I thought he did pretty well. The play that you're talking about was in the fourth quarter. We're moving the ball. There's about maybe 7 minutes left, and he runs what looks like an outside option. He gets outside, gets the first down, and then makes the pitch. He's probably 7-8 yards downfield or past the line of scrimmage, so he already has the first down. But the pitch turns out to be forward, and that becomes a forward pass, which is loss it down, takes it back, makes it 4th and about 12. We don't make it, give the ball back to BC after one of our spectacularly long 5-yard punts. And then BC just moved the ball about 50 yards and scored the winning touchdown with.
Well, I'm going to beg to differ with you just a little bit on the description of that play, because I think Bryson Daly was just maybe a half a yard over the line of scrimmage, and that's why they had to review it 3 or 4 times, which you couldn't see because you were in the stands. And it looked like it could have gone either way, and a lot of people talked about that, and they said, oh, gosh, Bryson Daly lost the game. No, he didn't. And, you can't tell a football player not to play football. And that's what he was doing. I mean, he was in the heat of battle. He had people breathing down his neck. He tried to make a play. And, as Pat Dye says, hindsight is 50-50, and probably with hindsight you wouldn't have done that, but I think he was just trying to make a play.
No, there's no doubt. I mean, he is our playmaker, right? I mean, without him this week there was no offense. But he already had the first down when he made the pitch. So
do you think he knew that, though?
I think he has to be aware, right? I mean, I think because we've got the lead, all we need is 2 more first downs. We don't need to score. So part of his situational awareness is knowing, man, I got the first down. We don't need to score. So,
well, perhaps you're right, but I'm not gonna.
No perhaps about it, Bill.
And the other thing, you said he was the only offense. Well, there was a little breath of fresh air in that game, and for Army fans, they've been missing number 21 for a year because of his knee injury, and he came back and he played pretty good. He had 31 yards rushing on, I think, 4 attempts. He caught a pass for 21 yards, and he did not to me, looked like he lost one step of speed.
Do you want to tell people who that is?
Tyrell Robinson.
Okay, there you go. You just yeah. No,
and Steve just gave me a little zip of da 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 to remind me that I didn't say who that was.
So Daly was really the core of our offense, and we need, when Coach Worley was on talking to us, we need all our playmakers touching the ball. We don't need our quarterback being the main guy. I mean, he distributes it, but we need all skill players need to contribute to the offense for us to really click.
Well, I would not disagree with that. And speaking of speed, did you see Zach Mundell's kickoff return of 53 yards?
If he had speed, we would have broken. Yeah, no. I was curious as to why he was the guy returning, why he was deep.
I don't know, and on some of the other kickoffs, I saw Tyrell Robinson back there, who, by the way, is the only guy in recent Army memory to return a kickoff for a touchdown. But
did he?
No, not in this game.
Yeah.
In recent memory, which I don't know how far back your memory goes, but I remember that. And
I don't think we have. I don't think
maybe it was a punt he returned for a touchdown.
Yeah, I don't think we've had a kickoff return since like 2002.
But old Zach, it looked like he was running in quicksand.
He had that tractor. He's like chugging.
Had the tractor on his back. But nonetheless, and then the next kickoff return he did a pretty good job on that too. So maybe he's just one of those players who can sniff the hole out and go to it and do a pretty good job.
And you got to figure anything plus north of the 25-yard line's good, right? I mean, that's better than where you were.
And, one thing I noticed about that is last year, I think our guys were under instructions just to fair catch every kickoff. And we're going to have Coach Saturnio on tonight later on, the special teams coach, and we can ask him, are people allowed to run if they want to? Because we certainly did. And another thing that was not that bad about the game was our pass defense. We held Boston College to 4 completions for 73 yards. Now,
the flip side of that.
The flip side of that is, oops. Sorry about that, folks.
Oh, my God. Rookie mistake.
Rookie mistake. That's I've done it before. Tom says, make sure you mute that phone. Well, oops, didn't mute it today. And it made me lose my train of thought. But their quarterback.
So you're talking about the flip side of him,
not throwing a lot of
passes. Yeah, of our pass defense being pretty good. Our run defense stopping the quarterback was he was quick, but man, we did not tackle well.
No, we did not tackle well, and Mr. Castellanos had 142 yards rushing, 4.6 per carry, and their other running back, Mr. Garwo, had 111 yards, 8 yards per carry. That's unacceptable, no matter what. And, it seems like, and you and I have talked about this, that every game something happens where we just let a couple of big running plays happen with the runner being untouched. And I don't get that. I do not understand that at all. And they out-armied Army, as I would say. They beat us in the time of possession game, 33 minutes to 25 minutes, and that's not Army football. So
no, they won in, I think, virtually every statistical category except penalties. Yeah, we kicked their butts there.
Well, they were one of the most penalized teams coming into this game in the country, and we, going into the game, were the least penalized team, with only tied with Michigan with only 9 penalties. But now we're still pretty low on the totem pole. But
we only had 6. But it doesn't take, like as I said, an Army football game. You got to be perfect. You can't fumble, can't have penalties. You got to stay ahead of the chains. And if you don't do that, man, it just gets harder.
Right. All right, well, folks, we're going to get out of here in a minute. Just a quick reminder to call Steve Moulton on the other end of the line at 256-576-49. I'm not with it tonight, Steve. 256-576-4977, right there on the sign that Steve just pointed to, and get yourself a $50 gift certificate to Nick's, and we'll be back in a minute.
Why don't you give them your cell phone and they'll call you there?
Nah, don't call me. We've heard enough of my cell phone tonight. So, hey, we'll be back in a few minutes, fingers crossed, with our first guest.
Log on today, 977ESPN.com.
If you work in a dangerous or logistically intense industry, you know good training can be a challenge. There are training costs, safety concerns, and difficulty replicating real-world scenarios. There's a better way used right now in the Army and in all our armed services to better prepare our heroes, and it's available to you in your organizations. Higher Echelon's Game Development Team is revolutionizing learning in military training, dangerous industry, STEM, and sports performance domains with cutting-edge virtual training that immerses you in lifelike scenarios without the cost and safety concerns for trainees. With Higher Echelon's game-based training, you'll experience realistic simulations, precision accuracy, and unparalleled safety. Higher Echelon founder Dr. Joe Ross is retired Army who played and later coached for the cadets and puts that experience to use. His team has been building cutting-edge virtual training environments for soldiers and clients for a decade. Higher Echelon, the name you can trust for advanced training solutions. Reach out at higherechelon.com to get your free consultation. Go Higher and go Army. Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com. Football season and Bad Daddy's Burger Bar. The perfect combination of good times and great food. This season, score big with one of our chef-inspired expressions of pure burger amazingness. Our delicious burgers are made with premium Angus beef, and you can pair it with one of our signature cocktails or a cold craft beer from our huge selection. Bad Daddy's Burger Bar on the Parkway in Huntsville and our new location at Cliff Farm, Highway 72 in Madison.
The kitchen is the heart of any home. It's where the family gathers. It's where kids discover old recipes and make them their own. Just starting out or just now getting started on the dream kitchen you've always wanted?
I'm Chris Haygood, and from all of us here at Bob Wallace Appliance to the home builders and the homeowners of the Huntsville area, a heartfelt thank you for buying local. We're in Huntsville, Florence, and Coleman, and online at bobwallaceappliance.com.
Tom Abraham here for my friends at North Alabama Mortgage. Are you thinking about home improvements? Well, use your equity now and refi later. Or use your equity to eliminate consumer debt forever, then refi to a lower rate and shorter term when rates drop. North Alabama Mortgage can also help you if you're thinking about buying an investment property or a second home at the lake or the beach or in the mountains. We have great programs to make that happen. Visit NorthAlabamaMortgage.com to learn more. That's NorthAlabamaMortgage.com.
Sitting here with Mark Kent of Southern Fidelity Mortgage Group of Huntsville. Mark, do you help pre-qualify people?
We pre-qualify people all the time, Wes. As a matter of fact, I love having them coming in here because when they come in and they pre-qualify, they can leave my office knowing exactly how much they can buy and have no worries.
Mark, tell me about your rates and pricing.
Well, Wes, this is something we're really, really proud of. Long story short is, I love being able to provide the best pricing in town. Honestly, I cannot tell you the last time I lost a deal to either rate or pricing, something I'm very proud of.
So what all financing options do you have, Mark?
We do several different things. If you're purchasing a home, we can handle the purchase. If you're wanting to refinance your home, of course, rates are at the lowest they've been in the last 3 years. We do a lot of refinancing. If you're building a home, we can handle the entire process from breaking ground to the final close.
Do you sleep with your phone?
Wes, if you want to reach me, you can call me at my office phone, which is 256-562-1000. But always remember, I sleep with my cell phone at night. That number is 256-656-5936.
Listen each Friday to the Woody Anderson Ford High School Football Scoreboard Show, powered by the Huntsville Sports Commission on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Welcome back, Army sports fans. This is Bill Crawdad Crawford along with Colonel Tom, also known as Tom Economy, and producer emeritus Steve Moulton behind the glass tonight on this little late night edition of our show. And before we get to our next guest, I want to mention one thing. You heard Tom Abraham on the commercial talking about North Alabama Mortgage, Brian Hamaker and his team. A lot of people say, well, interest rates are too high to do anything right now. Well, that's not the case. If you go and see Brian and his team, look them up on NorthAlabamaMortgage.com. There's lots of things they can do to help you out right now. You can refinance, you can consolidate debt, you can buy a lake house, you can do all kinds of stuff. Brian is a good man and his team is excellent, and they will get you going in that direction. And now we are joined by our first guest, Mike Belter. I think Mike is class of 78 from USMA. Mike, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine, sir. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening to the free world who listens to our show. And
right.
And Mike, normally this spot we have bloggers on who talk about the Army game, but we found out about you through Steve Cripe, one of our hosts who isn't here, and you have written what, 5 books on Army football?
I am in the process of finishing the 5th book. Yes.
Well, let me ask.
First wrote a book about the 1914 national champion Army team, which I would say most of us grads never heard of, but they're recognized by the NCAA as well as the 1916 team. So wrote about them, and wrote about my team, my first year, the 1977 7-4 team that actually got a bowl bid, but the Soup said no. So we just went out and Lehman Hall and Chuck D'Amico and the rest of the folks went out and beat Navy 17-14. First time we'd beaten Navy since 1973.
And that was a great game because that was my plebe year. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
you
good.
Know,
so
you froze your toes off.
Oh, my God, yeah. Low quarters and nylon socks, man. I just about died there. So, Mike, what are you a historian by trade? Is this kind of an outlier, or do you do things like this? How did this come about?
Well, I wrote the 1914 book because I couldn't get DIA to recognize that team as national champion, even though
DIA being
Defense Intelligence Agency. No, who's DIA?
The Directorate of Intercollegiate Academics.
Okay, yeah, I'm just making sure. Yeah, so.
Yeah, and couldn't get them to recognize it, so that was the reason behind the book. The 77 book kind of came out of a conversation with classmates saying, the disappointing thing about writing the 1914 team, they already had passed away, and it was. Somebody said something about, somebody in 2077 will write about the 77 team. We'll be all, sitting in West Point Cemetery or something like that. But so wrote that one, and during COVID, I wrote the 2-volume book on all the 10 bowl games, Army bowl games. But the 1984 team has always been a interesting mystery. This was a team that started the season was predicted to win. They went 2-9 in '83 and were predicted to lose more games. And they went 8-3-1, tied Tennessee down in Tennessee, and went to the first bowl game Army ever went to. And so they've always been an interesting team. Why did that happen? You got to understand, we had one winning season since 1972. That was in '77, and this led to more bowl games, more winning seasons through Coach Young's tenure through 1990, and that's the reason why I kind of decided to write about this team. And what has become interesting is basically I gathered all this information, and then I decided to contact the team captains of the '84 team plus '85, '86, and '87, and that's opened up a completely different, interesting conversations with all those players and stuff. So that's the reason for writing it. And from what I could tell, nobody had ever written a book about the '84 team. The quarterback on that team, Nate Fassman, wrote a book about his experience in Iraq, and
he's been on. We've had him as a guest on the show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So let me ask you. So when you write, and because I'm obviously not an author, but when you set out to write a book like this with some limited audience of Army football fans, how do you define success of the book? I mean, having it published on Amazon, or do you have something that you personally wanted to achieve in writing the book?
I think getting an email or voicemail through another graduate, hearing about, that they had read the book and enjoyed it. It was, I got to interview Coach Young. It was in the first minute or so, he said, I read, he had read a couple of my books and stuff. So that kind of is the measurement of success. I can tell you that the previous books, any royalties I've made donations to westpoint.org, our email system, and AOG. So all those, I'm not making any money off this. This has just been, like I said, documenting. And I believe it or not, the Athletic Association used to have records on every game of every sport of every season. So there was, when I would research for the '77 team, I went down there and here's the '74 season, all 11 games, folder for each one. And that actually was what happened in this case for the '84 team. Went to West Point before the flood in June. Always found out June's better time to go to West Point before our day, after graduation and stuff. So went and spent a week down there researching files and stuff and trying. The biggest problem with it is you don't have the core squad rosters, so trying to make sure you found who was on the team. That's always the biggest challenge in all three team books.
Well, Mike, I'm a little disappointed in your answer, because you should have said, my definition of success is being on your guys' show.
Well, to be honest, I hadn't come across your show until Doug Lowry told me about it, so I'll give him credit.
Yeah, he's a good friend of mine. And one other thing I was wondering is one of your book. Could you tell the story about the Blood Brothers on the football team briefly, and how that came about and what that entailed?
Okay, the two team captains had been, since the end of the '76 team, that Lehman Hall and Chuck D'Amico, some people will know him as Carl D'Amico, had been talking to each other about what kind of thing could they do, and they kind of came up with this idea. They went to the team physician and got him to take blood from each one of their arms, and then they scheduled a meeting Friday or Saturday night, the weekend before the first football game of the '77 season. And they had all the starters show up, plus the kickers and punters. And they talked about, what they wanted to accomplish during the season and so forth. And they kind of worked out the mechanics of what they called Black September. Now, some of you other historians in the crowd might know Black September was a terrorist group in Jordan in 1970, but at the time, nobody at West Point or nobody on the football team knew the connection to a terrorist group. So the reason why they call it Black September, it was a dark September night, middle of Michie Stadium. They quickly agreed that they would bring in people, a defensive player, an offensive player each week every Friday before a game. They basically cut their thumbs, and an offensive player pledged to a blood brother in the defensive team. And then Chuck and Lehman showed them the blood that they had, and they went painted an A on the visitors' locker room door, and so forth. The other thing they would do coming out on the field is you would find your blood brother and touch thumbs, and they would also, like I said, Friday evening they would initiate 2 players or 4 players as need be and stuff like that, and they used the code name Black September so that they didn't refer to it. They also, when they cut their thumbs, they got Dickie Hall gave them a football with a white panel on it, and they would put their thumb against the ball, so that ball's got 45 blood prints, we'll call it, on it.
Does the ball still exist?
The ball exists. First time I actually saw it was Lehman Hall's dedication to the Hall of Fame, Army Hall of Fame. He brought it out, talked about it briefly. And then Rich DeMarco had a ceremony in the last 2 years where they inducted the ball into the Army Hall of Fame. Had a ceremony there and stuff, and about 20-some folks from the team showed up. So that's where it is sitting right now. I haven't actually, kind of saw the video of the ceremony and stuff. Meanwhile, all during the season, the only people that knew about it were blood brothers. In fact, I'll give you an example. Mike Costelli was a kicker, my classmate, and at one of the football games while I was writing the book, I was talking to Chuck, and I walked over to Mike, and I said, Mike, who's your blood brother? And he says, I can't, I can't tell you who my blood brother is. I won't, not unless Lehman or Chuck approves, they kept it secret until after the Navy game. The team physician he's quoted in the paper of saying, oh my God, I could have lost my medical license for what they used the blood for. As an example, Coach Smith didn't know about it. None of the coaches know about it. Dickie Hall knew something was going on because he would bring the ball out in a bag at every game and stuff, but nobody really knew about it except for the Blood Brothers until after they beat Navy that year.
Well, it sounds to me, and we're going to have to let you go in a second, but that's almost a good plot for a horror movie or something, given that we're in Halloween. Well, hey, Mike, thank you so much for coming on. And before we let you go, just tell people how they can order your books if they want to.
Well, the easiest way is to go to a site called Smashwords. And you can electronically get it in all kinds of formats, Kindle and stuff, for free download. You may find somebody like Amazon or Barnes & Noble or somebody selling a download for some price, but I've got it set up so that anybody can download it for free. You want a hard copy, go to Amazon and you can order it. You can just type in my name or put in, Operation Black September for the 77 book, and it'll open it up, to the books and stuff and that's where I'll get I'll be finishing up the 84 book after I go out to Denver at the Air Force game this year to see, and at the request and invitation of the seniors on the 84 team, the class of 85. So get to meet about 11 of those folks out there in Denver and get some more, maybe a few more stories to add to the book. And then I'll be publishing it, self-publishing it by the end of the year.
All right, Mike. Well, hey, we thank you for your time tonight. I know we were a little later than usual, a little bit of confusion, but you figured it out. And I'll just say go Army, beat Navy, and thank you for your time tonight. And we'll let you go.
Thank you, Mike. We appreciate it.
And, Steve, you can take us away as soon as you can. And I think we have our next guest online. after this break, and that's going to be Coach Saturnio, our special teams coach for our great special teams. So, that was interesting, Tom. I've never heard any of that stuff before.
Yeah, no, I mean, it just goes back when we were at the stadium. You know, you're looking back and you're looking at, the history at Mikey, the tradition that West Point football is spectacular.
Well, that wonderful year he was talking about, unfortunately, I spent most of that football season every Saturday walking punishment tours. So, Steve, let's go ahead and take a quick break, and we'll get Coach Saturnio as soon as we get back. And remember, go to Nick's this weekend. Have a great time. They're going to have a lot of specials, and also North Alabama Mortgage. Refinance your house and have a drink.
Normally, when you call a roofing company, all you hear is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Since 1965, the folks at Fleming have been focused on what you need, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement, commercial or residential. And when it comes to storm damage, you want Fleming on your side. They know all the ins and outs of insurance claims and will guide you through the entire process. Log on FlemingHSV.com and book your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
Tom Abraham here for my friends at North Alabama Mortgage. Are you thinking about home improvements? Well, use your equity now and refi later. Or use your equity to eliminate consumer debt forever, then refi to a lower rate and shorter term when rates drop. North Alabama Mortgage can also help you if you're thinking about buying an investment property or a second home at the lake or the beach or in the mountains. We have great programs to make that happen. Visit NorthAlabamaMortgage.com to learn more. That's NorthAlabamaMortgage.com.
Built to win. Touchdown, Alabama! Built for championships.
Throws intercepted, Alabama.
Built by Bama.
Alabama is still Alabama.
The Crimson Tide play here. Join us Saturday as the Crimson Tide take on Arkansas in an SEC showdown. Our coverage begins at 8 a.m. on your home for Alabama football.
Listen to Alabama football all season long on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
When you call most roofing companies, all you'll hear is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming. At Fleming Roofing and Restoration, we're focused on your needs, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement. Folks around here have trusted Fleming since 1965 for all their residential and commercial roofing needs. And as the area's storm damage experts, Fleming knows all the ins and outs of the insurance claims process. Log on FlemingHSV.com to schedule your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
Want to see what I bring to the party?
Congratulations to The Drive as we celebrate a decade of Wes and Steve. Here's to 10 more.
Now, Sonny and Cher would say, that's on you, babe.
97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Bill Crawdad Crawford along with Tom Economy, also known as Colonel Tom. And this is the third segment of Crawdad's Countdown to Kickoff. And now we have our outstanding special teams coach on, Coach Saturnio. Coach, how you doing?
Hey, aloha, fellas. Doing well. Thank you for having me on.
Well, hey, again, we had a little bit of a delay because of the Braves game. And I think Eric and you worked it out, and we appreciate you spending a little 9:30-ish Eastern time with us. So how's everything going up at the U.S. Military Academy?
Oh, it's going well. It's a blessing every day to get to do what we do and just, again, have the greatest group of young men to do it with.
Well, you know, Coach, you've been up there, what, is this your 10th year or are you going on your 11th year?
Oh, yeah. This is my 10th season up here.
Well, so obviously you've acclimated to West Point pretty well. And what's the difference between the other players you've coached and coaching the West Point cadets?
I think, you know, it's funny. There's a lot of similarities in the sense kids will be kids no matter where you're at, whether they be at a public university or a place like West Point. As far as, you know, they got the same things that they deal with, you know, day in and day out. However, with our guys, I think, you know, there's a level, especially as they get older in the program, you know, there's a level of refinement that you see that you don't see anyplace else. And the fact that they have to balance everything that they do and still come out and put a product on the field that everybody can be proud of is something not everybody can do. Not everybody wants to do that. And
right.
the fact that our guys get to do that and they do it at a high level is something that it's a blessing to be able to be part of that for myself.
So that's great, Coach. I remember when I was being recruited, I talked to some grad, and he said, I wouldn't take $1 million for the experience, and I wouldn't take $1 million to do it again.
That's what they say, right?
Yeah, no, right? I mean,
it's a hard place to be at, but a great place to be from.
Yeah.
Well, Coach, I got to tell you my little recruiting story. It's very quick. I was actually recruited by Coach Paul Bear Bryant. Went into his office, he put his hand on my shoulder and exhaled a cumulus cloud of Chesterfield King smoke. And he looked at me and he said, "Son, you look a hell of a lot bigger on film than you do in person." So,
wow.
So, well, hey, at least I got to go down there and hang out with him for a bit. But our special team, one thing I was wondering about special teams, I mean, last week, it was horrible conditions, and how does that impact when you've got that much rain? How does that impact what you have to do on special teams? Does it affect your decision-making at all?
I think there's certain things, especially, if wind plays into a factor sometimes on certain things. But if you look on the other side, like the other group, the good thing, it was the same for both sides of the ball. And the guys on the other side had a tough go at it, kicking the ball over there too. So we had a couple that you wish you could get back. One we had a snap that was a little high that forced us to rush our first one, and sometimes you just hit a ball, and then that happened on our last one, and but you take those away, and was really proud with how the guys performed, because it's not an easy thing to do in those elements, because it's so specific on the things you got to do, but it's like anything. The mission's still the mission, and you got to find a way to get it done.
So do you practice so for the punts, right? The last two, do you practice punting in inclement weather? I mean, do you practice punting with
hitting them with a garden hose?
Yeah, spraying water on them. I mean,
believe it or not, we will go out with water bottles and work the operation.
Yeah,
right. Down the snapper as he's ready to snap the ball. So when that ball is getting back to the punter, that thing is like wet as a newborn coming through.
Yeah.
Well, Coach, there's some grumbling amongst some people I talked to about the two shanked punts, and you know what? I didn't lose that game. Those were just two bad punts. There's a lot of stuff that happened in that game, but and I think our special teams play awesome, and I think one of the things that you've left your imprint on our special teams is blocking kicks. So is there an art to teaching that, or we just got some fast guys who can do it?
Well, for the last 3 seasons where we've been leading the country, and what we've done is we had 9 punt blocks by 8 different people. So it's a trainable skill for sure. Now you gotta spend the time at it, and we do an extraordinary amount, I think, compared to everybody else. But it's something that our guys take a lot of pride in, and you can see it drastically affect how other teams approach us coming in, because their operation time speeds up immensely. So you want to hear that beautiful double thud. I tell everybody that's the second most beautiful sound to my ears. The first one obviously was when my wife said "I do," and that's the double thud of the block punt is my second one over there. But what it does is you want to get a block punt. Obviously, that's what we do. We call ourselves a punt block team and not a punt return team. We'll return the ball if we don't block it. But what you also force is a lot of poor punts. And that's in itself,
right.
You start feeling some field position away, just because the punter is extremely uncomfortable in doing, their normal operation. You'll see a lot of guys, they'll switch to just one step in the ball, and, it kind of takes them out of their rhythm. And any yard that we can gain to help our offense to come out on the next play, to get in a position where they can get a shorter field, that's what we do. In fact, we tell the guys that when we trot out there, we're actually the first offensive play of the series.
Yeah. Well, Coach, one of the things that's just been so impressive to me this year is our kickoffs with Tally, and I don't remember him being this effective last year. Has he really increased his kickoff distance? I think you've only had one return this year, right?
Yeah, he's done a great job, and a couple of them was, we had a few earlier. We had a Charlie Barnett, who was one of our younger kickers against Delaware State. He got to come in and kick a couple, which was nice, to get them some experience. But, Cole broke the school season single season touchback records last year, and he's on track to destroy it this year. And it's just, it's I think a combination of things: his attention to detail, how hard he works in the weight room, what our strength staff puts together for all of our guys to develop our players. Like, it was so funny when I first was blessed to start mentoring the specialists full time. I walked into the room and I said, "Hey, I'm going to tell you guys something. I don't coach specialists." And there's this kind of hush in the room. I said, "I coach football players. It just so happens that my football players can punt, snap, and kick better than everybody else on the team." So, they go about with that mentality, and I think they earn the respect of their brothers on the team by how hard they work. And going back to Tally, it's been such a blessing to see him grow over the years. It truly has, from, where he was, when I first got to start working with him, and that maturity level and the voice he has now and the respect that he gets from everyone is something wonderful to see.
Hey, Coach, you mentioned that wonderful sound of that double thud. Well, if you ever play golf with me and see me get in the sand, you'll hear that sound quite frequently. But
hey, I tell you what, man, I joke with every now and then I got to go and jump up with when the Army alums come up and golf up here, and you may confuse me with a lot of things. Confusing me with being a golfer would not be one of them. And I said, it's either you better be able to hit straight up here or be great at finding balls in the bush. So, yeah.
Well,
I tend to be more the latter.
Well, hey, lost balls, penalty enough. One other thing, back to special teams. One thing I noticed the last couple of years was it seemed like we fair caught every kickoff, and now it seems like we're returning more of them, as evidenced by Zach Mundell and his 57-yard kickoff return, and a couple of others. Is that a change that you have made to allow these guys to return more, or are they just making that decision on their own?
It's just that we're getting we put a little range on balls that, just based on our own self-studies on where we feel the ball and where that translates into where our final field position is after we end up getting tackled, and did a multi-year study and came down with a little magic number on if we feel the ball from this yard line, it's good to go. We got the green light, go make it happen. Anything that's short of that, statistically over a number of years, says that only about 30-some-odd% that we'd be able to get it past the 25. So I wasn't a West Point guy, but I'm smart enough to know that 30% isn't a really good percentage there. And, we the fact that now you can fair catch and let the offense start at the 25, it's a much smarter move over there.
Well, Coach, as you look forward to the remainder of the season, do you have any goals for your special teams that you've laid out or that you'd like to share with us?
Well, we always talk about, our motto of if you're juiceless, you're useless. So always bring that type of energy every single day. Never forget that we have that get-to mentality, that we don't have to play special teams, but we get to play special teams. And you know what? You take care of those two things and pay attention to the fundamentals on everything else that you do, all the other stuff kind of falls into place. I don't have set a particular number that we want to reach. I look at those great numbers you end up getting are going to be the byproducts of doing all the other stuff. And, going out, be a fierce competitor, love your brothers, push each other, hold each other accountable in everything that you do, because that's one of the sincerest forms of showing that you love your brother by doing that. And more often than not, you're going to be a lot happier with those results.
Damn, Coach, sign me up, man. I'm ready to go.
Let's go.
All right, Coach. Well, hey, I know it's a little late up there where you're at. We really appreciate your time. And personally, I'd like to see old number 21 return another punt for a touchdown this year.
Hey, I'm telling you, you and me both. plus the entire Black Knight Nation for sure. I bet.
That's right.
All right, well, hey, Coach.
We'll be cooking that up soon.
Let's get the Trojans this weekend. That's going to be a tough out, but I think you guys can do it. And, Steve, we'll go ahead and get out of here, take our final break, and then we'll come back for our last segment. Thank you much, Coach Saturnio. This is Crawdad.
Thank you, Coach.
We'll be back in a bit for our final segment. Thank you.
If you work in a dangerous or logistically intense industry, you know good training can be a challenge. There are training costs, safety concerns, and difficulty replicating real-world scenarios. There's a better way used right now in the Army and in all our armed services to better prepare our heroes, and it's available to you in your organizations. Higher Echelon's Game Development Team is revolutionizing learning in military training, dangerous industry, STEM, and sports performance domains with cutting-edge virtual training that immerses you in lifelike scenarios without the cost and safety concerns for trainees. With Higher Echelon's game-based training, you'll experience realistic simulations, precision accuracy, and unparalleled safety. Higher Echelon founder Dr. Joe Ross is retired Army who played and later coached for the cadets and puts that experience to use. His team has been building cutting-edge virtual training environments for soldiers and clients for a decade. Higher Echelon, the name you can trust for advanced training solutions. Reach out at higherechelon.com to get your free consultation. Go higher and go Army.
Hey folks, Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford. It's hunting and tailgate season and time to get serious about an F-150. We've got nearly 140 to choose from, and without a doubt, one of the best F-150 values on the road today is our STX package. You get 290 hard-working horses mated to a 10-speed transmission that'll take you everywhere, from that tree stand to downtown Tuscaloosa. Body-colored bumpers, halogen headlamps, 20-inch machined aluminum wheels, and lots of tech, like a rear-view camera with dynamic hitch assist, which you boaters and RVers will love. A 2023 Woody Anderson Ford F-150 STX packs a punch, but it doesn't cost you a bunch. You can drive one for $474 a month. That's a 36-month lease with $51.66 due at signing, zero security deposit, just tax tag title, and your good credit. Offer ends October 31st. Call 539-9441 for complete details. Come test drive an F-150 STX today. Woody Anderson Ford, hope to see you soon.
Wendy's new breakfast 2 for $3 Biggie Bundles let you create your own delicious combo. Choose from a sausage biscuit, egg and cheese biscuit, small seasoned potatoes, and a medium hot coffee. But it's obvious which combo's the best. Sausage biscuit and small seasoned potatoes. Well, maybe it's the fresh cracked egg and cheese biscuit with a medium hot coffee. Or 2 savory sausage biscuits. Whichever you pick, you can't go wrong. Choose wisely. Choose Wendy's new 2 for $3 Biggie Bundles.
Limited time only. U.S. price and participation may vary. Not valid in a combo. Single item at regular price.
The Huntsville Sports Commission is driven by you, driven by those with grit, determination, and a goal to succeed. This is why we do what we do. The Huntsville Sports Commission promotes an enhanced quality of life in the Huntsville area through sports. We work hard to make sure those who come to Huntsville to compete have all they need to be the best they can be. The Huntsville Sports Commission. We do sports. Find out more at huntsvillesports.org.
Looking for your next game day party destination? Well, think outside the box and kick back at Flosa Premier. And you may be thinking, isn't that the trampoline place? Of course it is. But it's also the one-stop spot for all things fun. And if kicking back with the boys to watch the game is your jam, then you're in the right spot. Jump or not, Flo tends to all ages, meaning while you sit back and watch the game, but little Jimmy's having the time of his life perfecting that front flip he most definitely wants to show you. You got this, Jimmy. So next time you think Flo, think fun for everyone.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
Your home of the Crimson Tide Sports Network.
You chill out when you're supposed to chill out. You work when you're supposed to work. You don't chill out when you're supposed to be working.
97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Welcome back, everybody, to the final segment of Crawdad's Countdown to Kickoff. This is me, Bill Crawdad Crawford, along with Tom Economy, Colonel Tom, and Steve Moulton, the winner of many sportscasting awards on the booth.
The year, like the decade.
Sportscaster of the year for like 10 years in a row or something like that. And we appreciate Steve being here with us tonight. Before we get started, just a reminder to see Joe Ross, used to coach at Army, MVP of the Army-Navy game, owner of Higher Echelon. They're smart people who figure stuff out. That's about the best I can say, describe what his company does. But Joe's a good man. Well, hey, Tom, this week we've got a tough out. Troy State Trojans. Last year we lost to them 10-9 at Troy. I was there. It was very disheartening game. They're a good team. They're 4-2. Last week they destroyed Arkansas State 37-3. They have, believe it or not, they have the leading rusher in the country. His name is Kimani Vidal. Last week he ran for 245 yards and 3 touchdowns. And he's averaging 139 yards a game, and their quarterback's good. He's thrown for 1,535 yards. He runs with his feet in cement shoes, though, but he's good, and it's going to be a tough win for us.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think you look at it, it's probably we've struggled with the against the run this year, and so that'll be a challenge for us defensively. But you got to go back and look at again. I talked about the interview Coach Worley about what a typical Army football game should look like. And we should have 40 minutes time of possession. If we limit the number of times that he touches the ball, we limit the number of times, the number of possessions that Troy has. I mean, this is absolutely a winnable game, but we can't make the mistakes that we've been making the last 2 weeks.
No, we got to put together 2 solid halves of football. And by the way, for those who are tracking Army's bowl eligibility, we can lose to LSU, but that's it. We have to win the rest of them if we want to go to a bowl game, and it starts this weekend. Also, just so you're tracking this out there in Radio Land, normally Army kicks off at 11 o'clock on Saturdays at Mikey. Not this week.
No, they kick off at 12. It's 11 Central.
I know, but I'm talking about our time. I don't care about Eastern time.
They don't kick off at 11 at Mikey. They kick off at 12 at Mikey.
They're kicking off at 3:30, Mikey, but if you want to watch it down here, turn your TV on at 2:30. And also on this radio station, 97.7 Zone 2 is where you can listen to it, just like you were there at West Point. You can hear the Army crew, all the local ads. It's really, really good. And
it's supposed to rain again.
It's supposed. Oh crap! That's just not good.
Yeah.
But hopefully the rain will work against them as much as it will work against us. But we're going to have a tough order. By the way, Troy is coached. I think their coach John Summerall is a product of Huntsville High, or Grissom. Steve corrected me, and he's done a great job down there, and he led them, I think, to a 12-2 record last year. They won their conference. They went to a bowl game, and we're going to have to be hitting on all 6 cylinders to win that game.
Yeah, no, I agree. The one thing they have done that we can take advantage of, they put the ball on the ground quite a bit, and we can't do that. So we have to play Army football. We have to stay ahead of the sticks. We have to not make no turnovers and no penalties.
No turnovers, no penalties. We've got to get our new offense working well for both halves, not just for half the game. And if we can do that, we will win. So, folks, we're going to get out of here a little bit early tonight. Tom, give me your prediction.
I think we'll win 35-28.
Well, I'm going to quote Yogi Berra, who said, I hate to make predictions because they're about the future. And this is one, I just don't have a good handle on this, but I'm going to say we're going to win 24-23. I think it's going to be a very close game at dear old Mikey Stadium, the home of the 1914 national champs. And, Tom, how many days have we got left?
Bill, there's 59 and a butt days until Army beats the hell out of Navy at, Gillette Field in Foxborough, Massachusetts.
That's right. So, Steve, you can go ahead and start that music and get us out of here. Thanks for sticking with us later tonight than normal. And if you're Braves fans, I recommend going to Nick's and having a drink. And what I would also say is, as we always do every time we close, is remember this: no matter where you are, no matter what you're doing, a soldier, sailor, airman, marine, or Coast Guard person is standing a watch so you can enjoy the life we have in this great country of ours. This is Crawdad. I'm out. Go Army.
Beat Navy.
Talk to you next week.
And this is a sinker that just did not sink. High in the zone.
The 1-0 pitch, and Pham a high chopper to second. Betts, Fields